Hello, mate. How you doing?
All good. Now, should this be Series 2, Episode 1 or Episode 16?
Yeah, good question. Like Series 2, Episode 1 sounds quite Netflixy, you know. Perhaps it could help us crack the big league, maybe get a nice sponsorship deal or something.
Yeah, to be fair, given that every club in the league seems to have some sort of TV series going on, maybe we should actually be aiming for some, I don't know, some kind of behind the scenes documentary a la Amazon Prime or something.
Yeah, can you imagine? It's Tuesday morning, recording day. Dan's been up all night worrying about the running order and the socials. Meanwhile, Matt's refreshed, enjoying breakfast after a night out at a fashionable West End night spot. What do you reckon, Matt?
Mate, now you talk about it, I think actually the spin-off could be a real hit. God, actually got me thinking. You know, a bit like Frasier spawned out of Cheers, that kind of thing. So it'd be Matt's West End shenanigans as a spin-off from the
With Les
original. What was the
Robinson.
original? Oh, it was that You Are My Oxford podcast. Yeah, yeah, classic.
You and
Nice
Les
little,
Robinson out on the town, huh?
nice little Cheers and Frasier reference there for our younger listeners.
Who I'm sure we are hoovering up. One thing young listeners love, Matt, is two old men talking about old football. They love it. They love it. Anyway, enough of that. Should we run the sting?
Let's do it.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.
Well, welcome to episode 16, the one they're calling season 2, episode 1. So much to talk about. We've got new signings, a season ahead to speculate wildly, of course. We've got a welcome return, and I'm very much looking forward to this, to Theo's Stat Kitchen, of course, and as ever, with the You Are My Oxford podcast, some nostalgia to reminisce about.
We've also, Matt, got a quiz. You know I love a good quiz.
Love a quiz.
So I've got a good one for you. Shall I start straight away with the quiz?
Go on then, teasers, because I've got a piece of paper I'm going to get scribbling, so go on.
Good. All right. Oxford have played Portsmouth 3 times previously on the first game of the season and have won all 3. What, Matt, were the scores of those 3 games?
Very, very good omen. Well, I was definitely at one of those, which was 92-93, so I know that one. I can have a good crack at another.
I've only been at one of them myself, which was the 1987-88 season, our last season in the top division. What, Matt, was the starting lineup for that game?
Oh.
As always, Matt, you can have a think about those, and we'll come back to the answers later in the pod. Warning, though, Matt, not right at the end of the pod. Okay?
Well, I've got less time, basically.
Less time than normal.
Okay. All right. Leave that with me. I've got. You know what? I'm feeling quietly confident about the second question.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, let's crack on.
Maybe you saw the script beforehand and saw what the question was and cheated.
Never do that. As you know, no preparation good as.
Last minute Goodrick.
Okay, so where shall we start this week, Dan? New signings, I guess, and there's been a few of them.
Yeah, Matt, listen, I'm not going to lie to you, and this isn't going to make great podcast or socials material, but if there's one thing I really hate, right, it's wild speculation about new signings. Like, if you go on social media at the minute, everyone's posting their starting 11, and all the new signings are in there. Based on what? Most of them we haven't seen play at all, right? It just drives me absolutely mad that people say, yeah, we spent a lot of money on this player. He must have been good. And listen, I've not seen any of them play, and until I've seen them play quite a few times, I'm going to totally and utterly reserve judgment.
Brilliant.
I mean, I hope they're good. I mean, none of them were cheap, so I hope they're good. But I couldn't tell you if they're going to be good.
This is brilliant, wonderful, insightful chat about our new signings. Thanks so much for your insight and your thought-provoking discussion on that. Can I just give you my overview?
Go on then, go.
Brody Spencer, excited.
Mm-hmm.
Dakir Smaka, however you pronounce it, very excited. Luke Harris, question mark. Prelic, big question mark. Lancashire, looks like similar to Dane Scarlett's, are not excited. So 2 out of 5 at the moment.
Ooh. Well, I admire you for being brave and honest and chucking that right out there. The new guy, Lancashire from Tottenham, his haircut today on the socials. Have you seen the guy in the socials the guy in Ibiza with the really funny haircut?
Oh, yeah.
Lancashire.
It's quite good,
Well,
actually.
I mean, that's the only thing I've got to say at the minute about him. I
I
mean,
hope he's not listening and going to knock his confidence before he's stuck on a yellow shirt.
well, I mean, this is my point, right? None of us have seen any of them play, so you're basing your judgments, I'm guessing, on wild speculation.
Wild speculation. Yeah.
I think that's my point, mate. Because I do you remember Jamie Guy?
Yeah.
The Jamie Guy experience. Like, we signed this guy. I mean, this is the conference days, younger listeners. We signed this guy in pre-season, and it was going to be him and I think James Constable on loan. In pre-season, though, it was Jamie Guy who I would have bet on being our all-time goal scorer of all time. He was just unplayable in pre-season. He was smashing goals in left, right, and centre. And then he got injured in the last pre-season game. Didn't start the season. Came back 5-6 games in and was shite. And utterly shite, right? And never recovered from that ever, and was shite until I think he lasted till Christmas, till he went back to whichever club he'd come from. But he was absolutely shite.
Never trust a player who's very, very good during pre-season.
I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah. Okay, well, shall we actually bring someone in who I guess has a bit more to say on this? Theo, the one and only, is joining us live from not his stats kitchen, but somewhere else in his home. And unlike some, has actually done a bit of research. So, Theo, first things first, strikers. Last week, everyone was worried about our lack of options. Now we have 4.
4 strikers? That's insane.
Well, it is for us, isn't it? When's the last time we had 4 hopefully viable strikers that we can call on? So, I mean, yeah, great. Hopefully some options for Rowett, which he's not had in that position since he started. We can go through a couple of them with some stats. First, to start with a bit of context, and that maybe is just quickly on Mark Harris last season, a reminder. 6 goals from 7.3 XG, so slightly underperforming. 39 shots, of which 19 were on target. Compare that to Colby Bishop, 11 goals from 13, so kind of similar ratio from 66 shots. That's really where they differed. So we'll start with what maybe is our big signing, Nick Prelic. He's the one most established of the strikers that we've signed, and actually has the most kind of robust set of statistics because he's been playing in a decent division for the last couple of years. Now, last season he got 8 goals, which is a little bit better than Harris, from 12 expected goals. So he had considerably more chances than Harris, and he bagged a couple more goals. He was much more able to get his shots off, over the double the amount of shots that Harris had, but similar number on target. So possibly some slightly worrying figures in terms of converting those shots to shots on target. But he is involved, and he was scoring goals. So I think quite an exciting one. That we know people are talking about his kind of physique and how he's a bigger player, still athletic, and I think there's a lot to like, especially how it's not a huge commitment with it being a loan with an option to buy. So I'm pretty excited to see him play when he's fit, and hopefully he can bag a few goals for us. On Will Lancashire, a bit more difficult to find any numbers really, because he's barely played any professional football. His goal scoring record for the academy is 33 goals in 43 games, which is obviously excellent. What I would say about him is he had a short spell at West Brom. I think it would be incredibly unfair to make any kind of judgment based on that spell. A grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 8 to 10 appearances. No goals, but we're talking like 5 minutes away at Norwich, 4 minutes at Hull, 16 at Burnley, and that was against a West Brom team, if you remember, who sort of, after they beat us, they fell away pretty badly and ended up sacking Mowbray. So he wasn't playing in a good team. He didn't really get a chance. Let's hope that's his first loan out the way. We often see it. We saw it with Roof, or first loan, and then they kick on after that. The only other one we could quickly talk about is Luke Harris. He was obviously playing in a Birmingham side that walked League One last season. Didn't get involved in the first team picture that often. got 3 goals from only 1.78 expected goals. So took some good chances to get that return. But I think, again, hard to judge him given that the talent that was in that Birmingham team. I mean, let's be honest, most of their attackers would have walked into our side. So again, as kind of trying to give some context to these players, but as Dan said, we just don't really know.
Do you think then, with all these strikers we've got to fit into a team, do you think we're going to go 4-4-2, like old school? Or do you think we might even go Chris Wilder, conference style, 4-3-3, with 3 strikers and 0 width?
I would be pretty surprised if we go that far from the 4-2-3-1 or maybe the wing backs that we saw a few times last season. 4-4-2 just doesn't happen these days, does it? And playing with 3 strikers, is Rowett really going to put 3 up top? I would be surprised. I think it's a slight change of mindset from Oxford fans. It's like it is possible to play 1 up front and have 4 strikers competing for that spot. Most big teams do. And it's been different. We're the odd one out in recent seasons, really, just relying on Harris plus maybe a loan plus a Donker if he's been around. So I hope they push each other. I think it will give us options off the bench, and if one of them starts banging in the goals, then the spot will be his.
Theo, last season it was quite interesting to watch, some of the smaller Premier League sides, should we say, kind of working out a way to beat that high possession teams, and that was just essentially launch it rather than just doing a low block and trying to catch on the break. Do you think this could potentially be what Gazball 2.0 is going to be?
Yeah, it's very interesting to see what it will turn out like, because I'm not sure we ever really had much of an attacking plan last season. My only kind of comeback to that is I'm not sure there's that many teams in the Championship capable of playing that kind of possession game this season. This is based on also very little, but having a look at the other teams and their business and their managers, I don't think that middle section of the Championship is going to be as strong this season. I think there'll be opportunities for us to get at those teams, especially at home, and where we were good for various periods. Obviously, dropped off in the autumn last year, but I don't think there's that same quality in the top half of the Championship as there was last season. So I don't think we should be setting ourselves up with the idea that we're going to allow the other teams to have all of the ball and boot it over the top of them.
Matt, I've got a question for you, actually. I don't know if we've mentioned before in the pod, but you've had a successful playing career yourself in the past as a striker. If you were in the team and your manager played 1 up front, and the manager kept signing new strikers, and there were 4 players, possibly even 5, going for 1 spot, how would you be feeling about
it? As a man, did I ever mention I played for Banbury? Yeah,
you might have done. Yeah.
As a man who was often, let's say, number 3 striker, often had splinters, as they call it in the game. I know how you feel, and it can be quite isolating as a striker, can't it? Because all you want to do is score goals. So I always used to, I always used to want the team to win, but the striker not to score. That was very much me. So, but honestly, it's going to be difficult to keep them all happy, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to see.
I'm particularly surprised that Tottenham have let us have Lancashire, given the Dane Scarlett experience of last season. There must be some sort of deal. It has to play a certain number of minutes, surely.
I thought.
Anyway, Theo, as a man of stats, I've got one more question for you. Are you happy with the other big signings, BDK and Brodie Spencer?
Yeah, absolutely. The current theme is we know very little about these players, but from what I've seen of BDK in the pre-season, he looks like a great addition. Hopefully, a bit more progressive than Volks and Brannigan maybe managed to be at times last season. Brodie Spencer, very good reviews from Huddersfield. Again, seems to have performed pretty well. Right back, it was always sort of fine. I think, right, it was sometimes you're like, I'm not sure they're quite doing what they're supposed to. They definitely weren't very good at getting the ball forward. So a little bit more quality in both those positions hopefully will just allow us to get the ball to our wingers in more dangerous spots and hopefully cause some more trouble.
And Theo, everyone's very, very excited that we have Jack Curry back too. who's your money on to be that our, I guess, starting left back, as it were?
I wonder if Curry's long throw might get him the nod, because obviously Volks was playing for the under-21s today, I believe. So he is probably unlikely to start on Saturday based on that. So it depends if Rowett still wants to be able to launch the ball in the box. It might mean that Curry gets the nod. He was obviously brilliant last season for Leyton Orient, but Greg Lee was brilliant for us. So that is a really tough choice. If I had to make the call, I would stick to Lee at this moment. I think the tried and tested, especially in these first few months, it could be our edge on some of the other teams that is trying to get themselves sorted out. It sort of happened last season, especially against Norwich. It was a very similar team that played at Wembley. We knew who each other was. Norwich didn't, and we beat them fairly comfortably.
Theo, finally, let's just remind ourselves of something you did towards the end of last season. The Gary Rowett song.
Manager Gary Rowett, he wears baseball cap. His football is pragmatic, and we're okay with that. We score goals with defenders and long throws in the box. We didn't go down with Luton, so up the notch.
The stat that we really care about here, more than anything else, Theo, is 12,500 views on our various socials. The most watched video in our history. Are we going to actually see that song in the wild this season?
What were the comments like on TikTok? I don't remember them being that complimentary.
No, some were. Some people loved it. We had, some of the younger generation, who I would say probably aren't the most, I don't want to insult our many followers on TikTok, but some of them aren't perhaps the most kind of progressive thinking of people. One of the comments came up a lot was, game's gone. And then they didn't tell us why. But most of the comments though were generally favourable, and it had an awful lot of likes. So I'm saying popular.
I'll be in the middle of the East Stand on Saturday, so maybe I'll try and belt it out.
Do it.
We'll back you up. Well, one of us is there anyway. So I'll back you up. If I hear it, I'll back you up.
Theo, thanks so much, mate, and see you next time. So some really interesting stuff from Theo there, and good to have someone on the show who actually knows what they're talking about, which is nice.
Matt, we all bring different strengths to this party. Talking of which, Matt, should we talk about socials? Something that I know you spend a lot of time thinking about and worrying about.
Very, very dear to my heart, the old social strategy. Hit me.
Well, it's all thanks to you, our excellent social reach. A few things to catch up on from previous episodes, including, Matt, an update on the search for Bobby Ford.
Oh, now I'm excited, actually. Go on.
If you ever actually went on our socials, Matt, you'll see these interactions we have with our listening public. On TikTok, someone commented on our Bobby Ford video, he's my uncle. So immediately I got back to him and said, amazing, can you put us in touch with him?
Go on.
And the guy said, well, I haven't seen him in years. that was it. So Bobby Ford, elusive ex-pro, elusive uncle.
Wow. Just wow. I love that. Like, no one can get in touch with him, even his nephew. Okay. Right, so the search goes on there. This one I'm also very interested about, actually. Our best ever Oxford United shirt poll.
Yeah, well, actually, Matt, we had so many replies to this on our various different socials that I actually gave up trying to keep up with the tally. There were just too many. So we got a few interesting emails, though, including one from Andy Hill, who sent me a photo of his very own 1980s Adidas Beauty, the one that we talked about. He actually
We have actually got one of those about.
There is an OG out there in the wild. He also sent a link to a company that makes replicas of it, Matt. I know you're a very kind of fashionable man. Would you find yourself in one of those bad boys, do you think?
Yeah.
In a fashionable West End night spot with the glitterati? Yeah, well, I'm not going to advertise the link, but if you do a quick search on the internet for 1980 replica Oxford United shirt, it will come up. It is a replica. I can't say anything. I can't vouch for it, obviously, but...
Could you flick me the link after this?
Well, I'll do it privately.
I mean, you could almost say that our social strategy is now overwhelming us when it gets to the point where you lose track of all the interactions. It's almost time to, to shout out and see if there's anyone who wants to be our social media manager or something.
Well, maybe some, young, aspiring, person who's keen to get into the media world wants to hang out with two great guys like ourselves,
Content creator, looking for a
chatting
content
about John
creator.
Narbett all day.
Colin Greenall. Right, anything else from this social section?
Well, one thing it occurred to me today, Matt, was when we had Liz Robinson on last week, we totally forgot to ask him about the You Are My Sunshine song, of course, that would have been recorded in his time at the club. So I followed up with him to see if he was part of it.
Oh, go on.
Nothing, no reply. Les Robinson,
It's one to roll over into season 2, episode 2.
Oh, so are we definitely going with We're going with season 2, are we?
I'd like, rather than series 2, I
Yeah.
like season 2. It just makes us a bit Hollywood, doesn't it? And also, I think it makes our body of work sound bigger than it maybe is.
Well, the reason I like episode 16 is because it feels heavy. I mean, bear in mind, we only started, Matt, in January. Can you believe it? We only started back in January and we're up to series 16. I'm not saying we're more prolific than other Oxford United podcasts, maybe more established ones. I don't know if they listen or not. But 16 episodes in a season?
Dan,
Half a season?
I mean, this is one, as they say in the business, we should take offline.
You're saying it's boring, Matt? Is that-
Maybe.
All right, Matt, I'm going to break with tradition here, and I'm going to do the quiz answers before the end of the podcast. So apologies for giving you a bit less time to think of your answers. Question 1 was, Oxford United have played Portsmouth 3 times previously on the first day of the season. We won all 3, there's a clue. What were the results?
God, it does stand us in good stead for Saturday, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll move on to that. So I think 93, 94, I think it was, and I know this because I was at the game, and we won 3-2. Now, weirdly, I can remember the 2 goal scorers for Portsmouth, which was one player, Lee Chapman. And I think I remember and I've forgotten exactly who it was, but I think we also had someone who scored twice. But 3-2, I'm going with.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Well done.
I was there. Happy days. 87, 88. We also won. Well, obviously, because we've won all 3. Was it 3-1?
It was a 2-goal victory margin. I'll give you that.
2-0.
Nope. It was 4-2 to Oxford United. With the goal scorers Billy Whitehurst, Tommy Caton, and David Langan.
Okay, this changes things because there's a couple of those I didn't have in the next answer.
Damn it! I've just given you a clue there. Yeah, go on.
Oh right, no, this does change things.
That was a game I was at, Matt. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Or
about
should I just answer the other one as well?
Yeah, go on then. We talked about it. We talked about the
Is
game.
it something like?
Think Alfie Potter.
Yeah, was it something like 2011, 12, 13, 14?
Something like that, yeah. I forget the year. Just give me the result.
Did we win 3-1?
4-1, Matt.
4-1.
2 goals from Alfie Potter and 2 from Dean Smalley.
Yes. So I did pretty well there, actually.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, very, very good. All right, then. So name the team, Matt,
Okay.
from the first game of the 1987-88 season, the starting 11. I've given you some of the scorers already. Let's see if you're listening.
So
We won 4-2 in front of a crowd of 9,174 at the Manor. It was the season we got relegated from the top division.
yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go, and I'm pretty certain about this, in goal, Peter Hucker.
Correct.
I'm going to go... See, I did have Neil Slatter in, but now I'm... No, I need to think about this. I'm going Caton Briggs in the middle.
Correct.
And then I did have John Dreyer and Slatter, Neil Slatter. But maybe I need to put Davy Langan in replacement of one of those two.
It was David Langan's penultimate game for Oxford United. He scored an absolute beauty. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second.
Okay. Okay. So then I had Greenall, Shelton, Houghton, Les Phillips.
Right, let me stop you there. So we had Greenall. We didn't sign him until February or March that year. He was our panic signing at the end.
Yeah.
But Shelton, correct. It was his debut.
Gary Shelton. Ray Houghton still with us for a bit.
Correct.
Les Phillips.
No Les Phillips that day.
And then up front, I had Foyle and Saunders, but...
Well, if you remember, Matt, the previous game, the end of the previous season, we just stayed up and Saunders got sent off.
Yes.
So he was suspended for this
I was
game.
at that game.
So it was Billy Whitehurst up front.
Billy
I'm going to put you
Whitehurst.
Billy Whitehurst. He scored twice. And Martin Foyle.
Sorry, he scored twice.
He scored twice.
He didn't do that very often.
He didn't do that again. He went the next 21 games without scoring and then got offloaded.
I didn't quite like him, but he didn't score a lot of goals.
An absolute animal, that man. The other players you haven't got, Trevor Hebbard and Peter Rhodes Brown.
Rosie.
Still of this parish.
I didn't do too badly, though.
Not too badly at all. And John Dreyer came on as a sub for David Langan.
Oh, okay. What got you thinking about this game?
Look at this bad boy. This absolute beauty. I was tidying up the office earlier on. The office. The spare room. the spare the office. What a twat. I found this bad boy. This is a VHS. Well, I'm going to have to even explain what a VHS is to our swarves of younger viewers.
For listeners of the pod and not viewers of the pod, Dan is currently holding up an old VHS. Explain what a VHS is.
Well, VHS is an actual tape. It's an old school tape. And in these days, this season was particularly weird for football because the TV companies, ITV and BBC, had refused to do a deal with the Football League to cover any games. This was when football's in the total doldrums. BBC and ITV thought that the Football League was charging too much for the game, so there's no coverage until around Christmas, when it's absolutely mad. So there's no match of the day. There were occasional highlights programs on ITV. So you can find a couple of our games. There are highlights of them. But this one, if you wanted to watch a game that wasn't covered by the TV companies, you had to go to your club shop and you had to buy a VHS tape. And the VHS tape was always incredibly bad quality. One geezer, literally, one geezer with a camera.
On his handicap.
Literally a handycam. And it filmed the game. But you used to pay I can't remember what it was, 6, 7, 8 quid, whatever it was. It was quite a lot of money in those days to get a VHS. We had this one, me and my brother, because it was such an exciting game of football. We both loved it. We were both convinced we were going to have a great season after the 4-2 win. You can see there on the back, my brother has written in the score and the substitute. So we have Dreyer and Truick as the two substitutes. Truick, an unused sub.
So two subs back in those days.
Yeah. The other thing I love about it, Matt, you've got from it's got like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then there it's got Liverpool against Arsenal, Charlton against Nottingham. These are all the other scores. So if you remember at the Cuckoo Lane end, they had the old score thing, and they'd tell you the scores in the other matches corresponding.
So corresponding. So under A, you'd have to look on the back of your programme.
Exactly that, yeah.
So
And my brother's even written in.
I used to love that.
Oh, incredible. A different time, Matt. A different time. Now, this game, no footage exists anywhere on the internet. Now, obviously, if I just had a VHS player, I would just stick it in and play it and record the screen. But I haven't got a VHS player. But I'm going to use my various contacts in the media world to see if I can get this digitized somewhere. And if I do manage to get it digitized, I'll put it onto YouTube. And it'll be the only chance to see David Langan's last ever goal for Oxford. Probably Tommy Caton's last ever goal for Oxford. And absolutely, definitely, Billy Whitehurst's last 2 goals for Oxford United in a remarkable 4-2 win. David Langan's goal was an absolute beauty. It was at the Cuckoo Lane end, as a cross came in, it was cleared, and he volleyed it in from like 25 yards.
And 2 goals for striker Billy Whitehurst, who then failed to score again for the rest of the season, the rest of the time in his Oxford career. So
Correct.
it's a bit similar to Mark Harris last season in some ways.
If Mark Harris was a 6'2" ex-builder from Hull with a penchant for fighting and biting people's noses off, then yes, exactly the same. Billy Whitehurst, for those who don't know the legacy of Billy Whitehurst, the cult of Billy Whitehurst, possibly the hardest man in football.
He once stapled his face together to a line-up in a game against Liverpool.
He did do that.
Now, Dan, I think I'm pretty right in saying that you made a lovely video about this season for our socials. I know that because it says here in the script.
Yeah, you love our socials, Matt. So you'd have seen this video. Let me just play it quickly for those like yourself who may not have seen it before. Every football fan in the land has a story of bad times, but can you beat the 24-game horror show of Oxford United, 1987-1988? And yet, this is a team that started the season with Ray Howson, one of the most coveted midfielders in the land. It was a season that made a star of striker Dean Saunders, whose only previous claim to fame was showing his bits in a team photo. And it was a team that started so well. In November, we were 9th in the top division of English football. So how did it go so bad? It didn't help that Chairman Robert Maxwell had bought Derby County and was also trying to buy Watford. Oh, and Manchester United too. The Milk Cup team of 1986 had all aged at once. Langan, Shotton, Truick, Hardwick all played their last games in yellow that season. Manager Maurice Evans picked increasingly strange formations and oppositions took it in turns to run amok. Luton alone scored 12 goals against us in 2 league games. There was one last hurrah in the League Cup with a 2-0 win over Manchester United. And a farcical game with Chelsea as two teams who'd forgotten how to win shambles their way to an extraordinary 4-4 draw. But nothing could change our fortunes. Mark Lawrenson was brought in as manager and he promised clean sheets. And there were 6 in a row. But sadly, they were all at the other end. We'd rolled the dice and it landed on 0.
The bottom club, Oxford United, were battling to stay in the First Division.
And that was that. Our 3-year adventure in the top division ended with a whimper. The team bottom of the league and barely putting up a fight. 7 months without a win. What a season to buy your first ever season ticket.
Oh, mate, it's got me a bit emotional. I'm not going to lie. Remember it like...
Did you go to any of that season, Matt?
Yeah, I went to quite a few games, actually. Probably about half the home games. Yeah, it's made me quite emotional because, yeah, sad, isn't it? And like you said, like you forget, but everyone just aged very quickly then. And Maxwell had lost interest. And then I remember Dean Saunders, like, oh, amazing, we've got Dean Saunders. And then he went, and then, yeah, it just turned to shit very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm vaguely obsessed by that season. And if you haven't read Oxblogger's book, there's a really good few chapters about how everything just went totally wrong that year. To be honest, once the wheels started coming off, they came off quickly and badly, and that it's honestly, I'm not even sure we've fully recovered now. Maxwell, as you said, got bored. The club was failing to get planning permission, of course, for the new stadium. If you look at the stadium plans they had, it was a really futuristic stadium they had planned. In a time when no one was building new stadiums at all. He realised it wasn't going to happen. He got interested. He tried to buy Derby, Watford, Manchester United, and then just left us to decline. And that decline took about 20 years, and it ended up with us in the conference.
Almost a bit like a warning for the club now, of course, with the announcement that keeps getting pushed back on planning permission coming up, in a couple of weeks or a week or so.
Yeah, not long at all now. 9 days, 10 days from the time of recording. We are sitting here excitedly talking about our new signings, or not excitedly in your case. Excitedly talking about 2 of our new signings. I think we have to be fully aware that it could really go belly up very, very quickly if we don't get planning permission.
Lovely, cheery thoughts for this season preview by Dan Curtis there. Let's quickly move on to more optimistic matters. Okay, so we can't do a season preview episode without, I guess, previewing the season. So, Dan, how are you feeling? Here we go.
Here we go again. Honestly, Matt, I haven't got the faintest idea. I was confident at the start of last season, but that was based on something. I thought we had momentum from Wembley, and I also thought that people were going to underestimate us, and I think that probably was the case. This year, I don't think we've got either of those two factors, but I mean, this year we do have a kind of a reliable source of points in manager Gary Pragmat, and we do, as you say, have 4 strikers this season. But I think a lot is going to depend on the announcement next week, and then obviously seeing some spades in the ground before too long. If that doesn't happen, I am worried. Matt, what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm not going to say too much here that hasn't been said elsewhere, but obviously, I think the issues for me are that Wrexham and Birmingham have come up and are spending a heck of a lot of money, so you presume that they'll be okay. Charlton also, I don't even see, but look like they're doing things sensibly, and then the likes of Leicester coming down. So I think overall it probably will be a stronger championship this season. However, I've got a thought. I've already got a bottom 3, and we're not in it. So I'll give you that, and I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday. No one will be too surprised by that. Really sad to see what's going on there. Really enjoyed our trip to Hillsborough last season, but still, if they end up going down, I'm not going to be too sad about it because it means Oxford maybe won't be. Hull City and Preston. I think those are our bottom 3. So that's on record now, me having said that. So let's see how that goes. But I think our forte lies in our manager and the fact that, I mean, he is bloody good at championship level. And, I'm not one for stats, Dan, as you know. But were we 10th in the second half of last season or something like that? So
It might have been 8th or something ridiculous, yeah.
So I'm going into it quite positively, and I'm going for us 5th or 6th bottom. What's that, 18th or something like that? So
excellent. Well, it all gets started on Saturday, Matt. I'm feeling a little nervous about the game, despite our first day record against Portsmouth. You're not going, are you, Matt? You're away. Are you going to be watching from overseas, from your showbiz yacht?
I am. I've shared my ticket with you, and I am not at a showbiz yacht. I am at a family gathering that was put in months and months ago when I didn't realise that this would be the first day of the season. So I will be listening from afar. But I too am feeling a bit nervous. Just Portsmouth, what happened when they were at our place last season. Even when we went there last season, I thought we got very lucky to get a point. Massinho, they seem like they're doing good stuff over the summer. But first day season, we got, De Keersmacher and Brodie Spencer to look forward to.
And some or one of our 4 strikers. 4 strikers, Matt.
I know, that's mad, isn't it? That's mad, isn't it?
Mad.
So I won't be going, but Dan, you will be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. So if you see me, listeners, do come and say hello. Actually, a couple of people did last season. A couple of people came up and said, enjoying the podcast, which is very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, please do come and say hi. I hope you've enjoyed this. I think it's probably time to wrap up, Dan, do you?
Yeah, I think so, yep.
Yeah, just to say, listen, we love doing this podcast, even though it's quite hard work sometimes. So
those socials are a killer.
Especially for me when I just rock up. But please, if you do enjoy listening, tell your friends, share it with all your Oxford WhatsApp groups, your family groups, anyone who's interested in the club or the area or nostalgia. We know there's a lot of Oxford podcasts out there, of course, but we try to make this a bit different to the rest, and we love to reach new audiences this season. So do get in touch with us and I'm now chatting socials with you, which Dan will be very pleased about. Do get in touch with us on TikTok, on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky, would you believe, and also on YouTube. Or you can actually email us. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on anything you'd like us to discuss, any ideas for Nostalgia Corner, that kind of thing. Email us at youaremyoxford@gmail.com. That's youaremyoxford, all one word, of course, at gmail.com.
What's your favourite of the socials, Matt?
I think I'm big liking currently for Instagram.
Good stuff.
Because that's the only one of the 4 that I'm on.
You were talking about getting an X. I was going to say Twitter, an X account for a setup again. Weren't you? There was
Yeah,
very.
I might actually be on that. Let's chat that on our next social strategy hour that we're putting in.
AGM, the next AGM. Excellent. When our new media manager comes in.
Exactly. All right, mate. Until next time.
Lovely seeing you. Take care.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.